All right, hello once again, Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and as part of the Rankin Technical College AWD 1000 Web Development Technologies and AWD 1111 or 1111 database-driven websites, I've been going through and creating a series of video presentations based off of the ebooks from Mr. Flavio Copes. I'm in number 6 of 7 going over the Node.js, and I ran into a little bit of difficulty previously going through some of the stuff that I was working on. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to copy this line. I just went out to an article on how to use this. I'm going to come out here. I'm going to do this. All right. So the problem was, I think, now I'm going to put a dev in here. I'm telling it what I want to do is when I do an npm run dev, I want it to install and run nodemon on server.js, and I want it to use localhost 3000. Okay, so I'm going to do that, and I'm going to come in here and I'm going to save that. All right, now it says in here it's made a change. Do I want to, yeah, I want the newest one in there. So let me get rid of that file. Okay. All right. So let me come in and try this again and see if it works this time. So lots of stuff open here. All right. So I'm going to come back in here. And I don't have my server going, so I'm going to start it up. All right, you saw this before. Now, whenever we've run this before, we've always said node server or node server.js. Either one will work. And it's giving me an error. Unhandled error event. Address is already in use, which typically says I've already got this running. I didn't think I did. I don't see it running anywhere. So let me go in and try to make a change here. Save on that. Let's close this. I'm going to change this to 5000. Just change my port number to 5000. All right, and on here, I'm going to change it here then too to 5000. All right, now I'm going to come back into here. And I'm going to do my git bash here. And I'm going to say node server.js. Now it's running. Okay, so it's all up and running. Everything looks fine. Not sure why I had a little glitch there, but I did. So I'm going to come back in here and on my local host, everything looks fine. So I'm going to go back here now and I'm going to stop the run. Okay. So my control C, that stopped it. Now I'm going to say npm run dev. I should get the same message, but it looks a little different now. Still get that, but notice this stuff. It says I can restart it at any time. Well, what does that mean? Now I'm going to go back into my program here. And I'm just going to say here, welcome to my Node.js program. Save. Okay. Now I've saved it and I'm going to refresh. Why is it not? Oh, because it's 5000. Welcome to my Node.js program. All right. Now I'm going to remove this stuff. in just a second just to show you this. But when I go back and look on here, notice it did a restart. Right there. It was going and it did a restart. If you say, well, no, it didn't. All right. I'll put my, basically remember where I am here, okay? Oops. So I've got one of these. So I'm going to come back in here and I'm just going to let's go back and just remove this. So now it says, again, the car brand and the car model. Okay. So now I've done that. I've saved. I'm going back into here and all I'm doing is refreshing. And you'll notice it did a restart and I did not have to go and stop Node. That's a very important thing. So it was running and it did some restarts. See that? Now, that is NodeMon, which stands for monitoring basically Node.js. It's a little bit more than you probably needed to hear right now, but I figured it was important enough to show it to you. All right. Next thing they talk about in here is how to use or execute a package installed. Well, I've already shown you some of this stuff. All right. So it says when you install using NPM a package into your node modules folder globally, how do you use it in your code? Say you install Lodash. Well, let's look. First of all, let's look on here. Do I have Lodash? Is Lodash in here in my node modules file? Do I have a folder called Lodash? I do not see one. You can see they're in alphabetic order. So I do not have one. So I'm going to put that in right now. All right. Now, I've got this running, and it says it's restarting. That's not a problem. But I can have more than one instance of this running at a time, as long as I'm not running basically my app twice. But I'm going to come in here, and as they mentioned, I'm going to type in npm install, and I'm going to put in here Lodash. Okay, and it said that it's basically done a bunch of stuff. The first thing I should notice when I take a look in here is if I now look in here and I go in my node modules, I should now have a folder for Lodash, and lo and behold, there it is. So that's the first thing. Not that that's a big thing, but that's the first thing. Secondly, when I come back into here and I go into my package.json, you'll notice that Lodash has been added. Okay, that's another thing. All right. Lodash is a JavaScript utility library. So if I wanted to know exactly what is Lodash, what could I do? You already know that. I can go out to here, and under NPM packages, I should be able to just come in here instead of NodeMon, type in Lodash. And there it is. Now, we didn't do the minus save, but it's no biggie. And they show how you can use it in here. All right. What's nice about all this stuff is when you start to go out into the package manager and you're not sure how to install something, typically they'll give you instructions on how to do it. If you don't know how to use something, typically they'll give you instructions on how to use it. If you don't know how popular it is, well, there were 25 million downloads. So somebody must be using it. All right. Now, they're going to give another example in here. And again, I'm just using their stuff. All right. So they're telling us that we want to, and I think this is a silly package, but we're going to put it in anyway. And that is, they want us to do an npm install on Cowsay. All right. Again, it gave us some stuff in here. So what's happening behind the scenes. Again, if I want to know what Cowsay is, I can put that in, and it's going to be something like this. This is the cow saying something. All right. It says it's a configurable talking cow written in Perl. Okay. Again, There were 6,000 downloads last week, so it's not nearly as popular. All right, but I'm following what's being shown in our text, so to speak. All right, so now what they're saying is, now that I have this, I can invoke it. Now, I don't want to put it into my program, so I'm going to clear this. And rather than using npm, the Node Package Manager, because I've already installed it, all right, I'm going to type in here npx, which means basically I want to use it. Cows say, hello world. There it is. Now, was that neat? No, but it showed you how you can use something. Now, in my humble opinion, it's important right here that I come in here and Google what is the difference between npm and npx. npm is a tool used to install packages. npx is a tool used to execute packages. Packages used by npm are installed globally. You have to care about pollution for the long term. Packages by npx are not installed globally. All right. So basically what they're saying is npx runs the package but doesn't worry about doing an install. Okay. Okay. All right. Now the next thing that's discussed in here, check my time, I'm doing fine. And I've already started going into this, is the package.json file. As it says, it's a key element in lots of, basically it's for lack of better words, it's kind of a startup file. And they explain here what all the different things that are in here are. So let's look at it. There's an empty one, so they're starting to fill it up. And again, by default, the name will be the name of your folder. All right, and I can't see a reason to ever change that. Now they've got a lot more stuff in here, but we've talked about these already. We've talked about what the version is, the description. All right, let's see if they talk about, I mean, this is a big, really big example, as it says. So let's take a look at what they show in here. Name sets the application or package name. Version indicates the current working version. Description, as it says, is a brief description. Main is the entry point, so for us it was server.js. Private, if set to true, prevents the app or package to accidentally be published on npm. I would never want to publish what I'm doing. Scripts defines a set of node scripts you can run. That's where we added our NodeMon example, our dev. Dependencies, you've already seen that. That's a list of npm packages installed as regular dependencies. The dev, that's where we put NodeMon. That was a development dependency. Put the -d on there. Engines, which versions of Node the package or app works on, and browser list, as it says, to tell which browsers you want to support. All right, so they look at these in much more depth and breadth of coverage. Name to set the package name, author to set the author's name. Contributors, typically that's not something you're going to want to worry about. Bugs can be important. As it says, links to any known issues, as it says, more likely a GitHub issues page. Homepage, if you want to set your homepage. Version, we've already talked about. License, as it says, typically you either use, as they have right there, you either use IS or MIT or the ISC as we used before. Keywords, as it says, it'll give you an array of keywords that you can associate with your package if indeed you want to do something like that. By no means do you have to do something like that. All right, main or description we already mentioned for the package description. Repository, this is if you've got a GitHub repository connected to it. All right. Main to set the entry point, we've talked about that. Private, as they say there, if it's set to true, it prevents it from you accidentally publishing it onto the Node Package Manager. And the Node Package Manager is like a big library. And if you were to create your own app and you thought it belonged in there, you could at least try to get it put out there, okay, onto the Node Package Manager. That doesn't mean it necessarily will be put there, but it could be. All right, scripts, a set of Node scripts you can run. We already talked about that. Dependencies sets a list of NPM packages installed as dependencies. You've already seen those. The dev dependencies, you've already seen that. Engines, as it says, which version of Node and the other commands package should work on. Browser list, tell which browsers and their versions to support. Command specific properties. You might put in there, as it says, things like Babel, which we'll look at later, ESLint, and other things. Package versions. All right. And there's a whole big thing in here about using tildes and etc. And it all has to work with those numbers that are in there and the three numbers. The new version, the new release, I think that is, and the new update. So you can take a read on that. I'm throwing too much at you right now. I don't want to be that confusing. All right, we're at 17 minutes. This seems, at least taking a quick look at it, this would probably be a pretty good place to break right here. So I'm going to stop right here, and we'll pick it up talking about the package lock.json file in the next video.